Hi everyone! We're going to do a very exciting experiment now, and namely reading the energy and the karmic story of Tom Cruise. Now I'm doing that as a part of my own psychic training to expand my abilities and also to learn how human karma works, functions, how it's connected to energies, and why certain things happen which are not supposed to happen, or why does this happen to certain people. And why did I pick Tom Cruise? Because I could read energy of someone we don't know, but we can't learn from that as much because we don't see them. Now, we all have an idea about Tom Cruise, about his work, his movies, but we don't really know the person. So I'm interested in the background of his life, not really the events, but the energies that create his life and create him as a human being. So let's see. My first picture here is Tom Cruise when he's very young. I don't know, maybe about 18. Now, what can we see from this picture? And if you want to train with me, just allow your own feelings, sensations come up as you look at a photo, at a picture, and see how it resonates, what kind of sensations it gives to you. So what I see here, and what's most dominant in this early picture, is a boy who is smart, who is naturally smart. He's not the kind of sitting in the library or reading, being good at school, learning. No, he's a very fast learner actually, but he's a practical learner. I mean, he's very fast at connecting the dots and finding the information that he needs and learn what he needs. So he's a natural talent at that. He's very effective in this way. So he will pick up what he needs and put it together. He's smart, but he's really not the education kind of smart. Just piling up education and degrees. He is an observer, but he sees everything from his own angle and from how I can use that. So that's what makes him so effective. Even at this early age, I can sense some awkwardness and some unclarity here. He has a strong energy. I sense like there is a sense of purpose in him, but it's not clear for him yet how he's going to, what he's going to do, or how. He just feels that there's something special about him, or he's going to do something special. And he has strength. He also has a certain vulnerability in him. He is a feeling person, but even at this age I can feel that although there is some naivety and some trust that he showed people, he's a kind of person who is different, and his peers can feel that. So it seems, even though he can be very charming if he wants to, but his peers, they he's not really a popular guy. There is something, freakish about him, or kids or teenagers of his age can somehow sense that about him. So there's something exciting, interesting, but he is too different. There is something freaky about him, or that's how he's interpreted. So there are not many people who understand him, and he feels that. So in the beginning there are some issues with this trust, so he kind of opened up to a certain degree to certain people, but he was disappointed, so he was kind of betrayed, or was not supported anyway. So he built up a defense system, kind of. He doesn't trust anyone but himself. He learned that at a quite early age, not to trust really anyone but himself. He's not someone who will lean on the support of others. Although he is an emotional person, he can love, and I feel that he can be very gentle and loving, but trust is a great issue here from the beginning. It is a great issue because he is very different, and there is a strong energy. It is raw at this stage of his life. This energy is quite raw, and he's learning to use it. He can instinctively feel people, and that's a skill that he has. From an early age, he kind of knows what strings to pull to achieve what he wants. And he is learning to control his energy, his emotional energy as well. He can get very emotional sometimes. So it's not true that he is not emotional, or he's cold, or self-obsessed. He can be very emotional, but since his energies are very strong, really strong, and they can be focused, sometimes they get out of control. So knowing this, he starts to mold himself. He is an artist in the sense that he is creating himself. He is forming his own energies, focusing them, directing them. So he is at the phase of learning to work with these energies. And at the beginning, it's not quite easy because he has very intense energies, and he can focus them very intensely. He is a bit idealistic, so he can get carried away by his emotions and ideals. He's creating them, and that's when people can turn away from him, because that can be very intense. Even at this age, he has this tendency. So he learns that he needs to control that. To a certain extent, he is suppressing it or channeling it for his purpose. He feels that he is different. He knows that he is different. It causes confusion here at this age. I can sense confusion and tension because of this being different. He can't stand these small or tight confines, so he needs space. He knows he's not going to stay here for long. I don't know where he is right now at this age, but it feels like it's a small environment for him. He needs more space to grow and to expand. He knows he won't stay here for long. And at this stage, he doesn't know clearly what and how he's going to do that, but he knows that he's going to do that. Because it's just such a hot energy there that's incredibly intensely it's driving him. It's driving him. So he is learning to focus this energy, kind of mask it to a certain degree to be acceptable, but in a way that he can function in this environment, and he can achieve his goal. So he's sculpting himself, he's creating, he feels like a bow and an arrow, both of which is him, where he's learning to control these energies and tense them up in order to get right where he wants to go. So he can focus and create a goal, focus on that goal, and get there very effectively. Because he's learning fast. He's learning how the environment works, what strings to pull. He's not a manipulative person. He just simply needs to adapt, and he learned. So there is quite a bit of flexibility there, because he understands that if he wants to achieve this, he needs to adapt. He is not giving himself up in any way, but he is adapting like a predator, He's adapting, he's approaching the victim, the goal. And he's learning, observing, and everything in his mind is working towards that goal, how I can utilize that, but he's not a manipulative or a cold or a rash, so a calculating person. He is not. He is an adapting person with a strong sense of purpose. And interestingly, this strong sense of purpose is, even it seems egoistical, so it is like about him, how he would do this, and the goals that he wants to achieve, but it's through himself he wants to show the world that there are no boundaries. And this is the karmic part of his journey. It's very, very interesting. It's very interesting. This is a soul who says, and that's why he came here, that's part of his karmic journey, who says that I am the creator of my life. So he's the person who takes the responsibility and takes action. Very dynamic, very energetic, very focused. And another very interesting thing about him, that this intense energy, which can carry him away and which can become out of control, is paired with an exceptional self-discipline. So it's not just, big ego like I used to think. I have to admit I had some prejudice here, but it's a sense of purpose. His ego is very much merged with this sense of purpose, and it's not just a sense of purpose for fame or money. It's a sense of purpose of I am the creator of my own fate. And there is a certain, yes, this is the karmic part, a certain karmic thing about him. He's throwing challenge to God. It's like, I'm not your puppet. I am my own master. And I'm going to create like God. Some people might say that it's megalomania, and narcissistic behavior, whatever. But it is a soul's journey, so never judge. These journeys are so important for us to understand how energy works, how we learn from lifetime to lifetime. And this is a soul. Oh yeah, I have a sensation. It's interesting. This is a soul who felt betrayed by God. It feels like in a previous life he was a very devoted religious person, really devoted to God. This soul is not an egoistic soul, it's an idealistic soul, to the point of being a fanatic almost. So in that previous life, it feels he was very ambitious. There is a lot of ambition there, but not for himself, but for the world. And this ambition is there with an unquestioning belief and religion. But this is religion. And faith. He had faith in God, an incredible amount of faith and trust, and a very rigid almost idea of how God should create, or what God should do, or how things should be. And a very rigid belief system about what's right, what's wrong in the world. So this is the previous life, what I'm talking about. And he put all his faith, all his energy with the purpose of improving the world, bringing it closer to God, creating the world of God as God wanted it, or how it should be. And bringing people closer to that ideal. And it feels like he could be really fanatic about this, and he turned people against himself, even the close people. So he failed at listening and understanding the true reality, because he was so focused on that ideal. So this person is a very strongly idealistic person, and he is working and fighting for that ideal, not for his ego. It wasn't about his ego actually in that previous life, although he was powerful, but he was truly believing in the cause. And God betrayed him. That's how the soul felt in that life, that God was a weakling, if it existed at all. And it feels like there was a point where he suddenly realized that God is not there to help humanity, to make it better, or to create. It is the human who creates. So it is kind of, I will be God. I will show. I will create. So it is a challenge thrown in the face of God. I can't say that there is absolutely no belief in God, but there is, I feel a disillusionment, a very strong disillusionment. He can't say that God doesn't exist. I don't feel like there would be that, because I sense like there is in the depth, so it's not on a conscious level, it's very, very deeply on the karmic level. Like there is this fight with God. So if you don't believe in God, you don't fight with him. So there is this hurt, this rejection, this throwing the challenge. I am deciding about my future. I am creating my own fate. It's not you, it's me. So this is what I feel here on the karmic level. I'm not saying that the 18-year-old guy, the boy, knows that. It's the energy that he brought with him. And this is the energy that is driving him, because he is creating himself. He is creating his goal crystal clearly, and then he's making himself the bow and the arrow to hit that goal, to overcome himself. So that's why there's a lot of self-discipline involved. He doesn't want this energy just to be all over the place. No, he wants to be the master of himself, the master of his own little universe. And that's it. He is in his own universe. Even in this early age, there is this sense of his own bubble around him, but he is clever enough to keep the walls of his bubble transparent, to be open, to gather all the information that he needs to achieve his goal. He's like a hawk, an eagle, just monitoring, seeing where, what, how. So this is, and he is creating not just his mental, he is his own creation. So he is creating his persona quite consciously, but also very instinctively. So he's good at this. He has a gift for, he is an artist of creating a human, a godlike human. He's creating his physical looks, he's creating his energy, and he can control his own energy. So he creates this energy aura around him, and he's learning how to use this energy to achieve certain outcome, a certain effect on people. It's the cat, she's bad. So let's go over to older pictures. Now, yeah, what we talked about, now he is more in control of his own energy, of how it feels, how it affects people. He is strong. He's strong. He's strong with himself. He is demanding. He with himself. So he's very professional. He has his standards, and those standards are high for himself too. You need to earn his respect, because he finds it hard to respect authority, age, whatever. He respects this inner strength, this inner backbone. He's a fighter, and he respects fighters, not just empty-headed, noisy people. No. He feels when there is a strong, charismatic person there who is fighting for his own cause, and he respects that. But otherwise, he doesn't respect average. He is not average. Average is, he doesn't like that. He's smart, but in an interestingly distorted way. It's interesting because I didn't really like Tom Cruise, but the more I read his energy, the more empathy I feel for him, and also respect, because although he's going, he's a tragic hero. It's kind of karmically, energetically. He's not an average or quiet person to have an average quiet life, he would go to the extreme. It doesn't necessarily have to be fame or popularity. Actually, he is using fame and popularity to overcome himself and create that God, kind of godlike creature from himself to overcome God, right? I don't even know how to express this. This energy. He's trying to. Actually, the purpose is amazing. He wants to transcend himself, transcend the human within him, and transcend into a higher self, into a godlike master. But he does that from a human point of view, and that's what inevitably led to tragic, huge impacts. It's karmic, so it happened before. It was, he goes with a bang. It's not just something quiet and it's happening quietly like water. No. So although he used to be shy, and it's so amazing. He used to be a bit shy and confused and awkward, especially with other people, because he's so different. There were these weird things within him, weird energies. But also there is humbleness, which is amazing, because you would think he's a megalomaniac, a narcissistic megalomaniac. And that's just a part of, those are labels, okay? And I don't want to label. It's never helpful. He also possesses this quality of humbleness. He can be very Puritan and humble and simple, because that's self-control, and that's his own humbleness before his ideal. So he's very humble with his ideal, and his ideal is like with Nietzsche, it's the higher man, the higher human, the superhuman. So he's humble, but there is this incredible amount of energy that he has, and he has learned to control that to a certain level. Now the picture here is, he is about 30. He's about 30-ish. At the peak of his career, I guess. I don't know too much about his career, but he kind of showed that it's possible. I did it. But he is not a person who would ever be satisfied, because there's a higher summit up there, and he will go there. He would fight his way through. At this stage, this is what I sense about him. There is also a longing in him. He's a loving person. He is. He can be a warm and loving person. which amazes me again, because I thought that he was a megalomaniac. But this idealistic, so his distorted idealistic, this pressure in him to reach the ideal, because that's, he can't breathe without that. He needs that as we need air. The ideal, the purpose, the higher purpose. It's not for the fame, it's not for the money, it's not for popularity. It's for that higher idealistic purpose, which comes from that karmic cycle where he tried to achieve that through religion, and then religion failed to give him this tool to support him in this. And he said, okay, then I take it into my own hands. This is, don't understand me wrong, this is all on a karmic energetic level, what I sense. And I might be wrong. As I said, this is a training, this is a psychic reading training. But this energy that he uses for this higher good also cuts him away from human relations, and that's where he is starving. So there are human relations, and there are, he can be a very faithful person. He is. In his friendships, he has morals, although distorted morals, but he has them. He is an architect, a master. Yes, he's creating this mind, this character, this human. He's creating this human, the Tom Cruise. But the ideas, he cements them somehow. He starts to become very sharp and rigid in his mindset, in his energy. That's what I'm feeling. It's about his 30-ish years. And yes, so there is this strong feeling of being different, not being understood, being isolated. So he needs human relations. He needs love, actually. He does, but he wants it in his own way, on his own terms. And I think that's where problems come. He starts to shape his partner. He's doing the same to his partner with the best intentions, what he's doing to himself. He's carving, he's shaping. He's being the architect, the sculptor, the master. It is not that he wants dominance. He wants to create kind of a union of the two. It's like a soulmate, and becoming one with the other, and striving for that ideal together, being one. His love, because of this mindset, because of this energy, like he really loves, but his love is becoming obsessive. So he needs to, you see, there is this ideal up there, and if he wants to reach that ideal, and that's number one priority, but that ideal is always up there, it's unreachable. So it's always higher than he is. It's the superhuman. But since that is number one priority, he can't really divert his consciousness to all kind of other things. So he filters everything else out. Now, since he needs human relations, he needs love, he needs a partner, he needs a family, he loves that. He truly loves that. He tries to merge them and pull them up with him. So he wants to to become one, because he can't function if everyone is going in all directions, like a herd of sheep. Everyone having their own lives, their own ideas, their own things. It's uncontrollable. It irritates him. He doesn't like dispersed energy. He doesn't like someone who's not being able to concentrate, not being able to focus on the goal, being fully 150% there and doing it with all his soul and energy and mind and body, with everything. But that's what's leading to this unhealthy bonding with partners. His energy tries to pull them in to the level of obsessiveness and control. And he is forming them. He is forming them. Also, he does love them. He loves them. I could even say that he loves them more than maybe he loves himself, in a certain very distorted way. He wants the best for them, but he sees best in this transcended, superhuman kind of state of existence. And his partnerships feel, it feels like he's it's interesting. He's picking women who he can form, who have this certain plasticity about them. But he's not interested in common, uninteresting women. So no fire in them. He likes uniqueness. He appreciates uniqueness. And that's what he's looking for in a woman. And there's a lot of disappointment in him. It's kind of, he feels women betrayed him, disappointed him. But there is also some understanding and acceptance. He is interesting. It's really amazing. I didn't know he was so interesting. He can be angry, but angry at them, but kind of for them, that they throw away such a possibility, that they throw away their future, their ability to open up to the infinite. So he's frustrated, he is angry, but he's not a vicious kind of angry. So it's not that kind of I hate you forever and fuck you. So it's not that kind of a, he's not a malicious person. I'm talking about the deeper layers of his being. So his being really is not a bad person, not a vicious, possessive person. He is a distorted consciousness for a reason. So it's not a sickness. He has his reasons to be like he is, because he's doing, in this lifetime, he's doing an experiment. It's a lesson, a life lesson. It's the lesson of human, superhuman humbleness and coming in terms with God. So acceptance of a higher will or higher order that he might not understand. So he is striving for that. It's interesting, but in a distorted kind of way. So it's very, very interesting. So after these years, yes, this obsessiveness, it's there in his relationships, in his work. So he's giving his 150%, and he doesn't understand why his partners are not doing so, why other people are not doing so. He considers that as a waste of their opportunity as humans here. So he could imagine a human society where people would be like him. He doesn't want everyone be match him, so be like him exactly, but giving their everything for the ideal, and that ideal is not a negative, bad, vicious or malicious thing. No, this person is a soul, is a precious soul who is learning in a very hard way. It seems easy because he is famous and he's rich, whatever. But he has chosen a very rough life in this way, energetically and karmically. Now let's see his present photos. He has become, again, just like in his previous life, he kind of repeats some of those patterns. He has become a bit disappointed in humanity. He's still not understood, and in a way there is acceptance, so he kind of accepted it. But at the end of the day, he wanted to make humanity better. He wanted to pull everyone up, to show that there is more to life. There is that humans have endless possibilities. And what I feel about his energy now, at this moment, there is some... Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. There is some deep within, there is some confusion, even a sense of insecurity which he didn't feel for a very long time. there is a sense of like he created himself. As I said, he sculpted himself from his own energy. He created a very strong, like a bow, a strong structure, energetic structure, but it became rigid. And he applied more and more rigidity, the more resistance he met. You know, whenever his life seemed to stop, and his relationships faltered, he pulled through, just like earlier. Whenever something happens, he puts more and more power and goes, and he's not the one to be easily broken. No, he's a fighter. So he crashed, and he would apply more. He would give more gas, and he would fight more and more. So he applied this rigidity. He added more and more rigidity, going for his goal, for his ideal, no matter what, no matter how hard it hurt. You know, he hurt himself a lot, very much. But he has a high pain threshold, and the more it hurt, the more he clenched his teeth, stood up, and, you know, strengthened his walls and went on. Again, he crashed, he fell, he hurt, he stood up, clenched his teeth, and continued. He would be the kind of person who would do that to the end, you know, the fighter who fights to the last breath. He is that kind of person. But now, what I'm sensing about him is there is and it's beneath all these layers of energy, you know, these walls, this strong structure that he built up, which is rigid belief systems, ideas, and all fixed ideas and explanations for himself why this happened. But there within, there is a confusion. There is a part of him which kind of separated itself, this energy, which is now asking, why? What's happening? So there is this confusion. There is this, hey, wait a moment. What is happening here? And the problem is that on the surface, so that it's a crack on this very rigid system, thought, belief system, which is determined to go and at all costs, you know, even if parts of him are dying or died, or he lost kind of parts of himself on this journey, and it hurt him very much. But it's not giving up the facade, or I'm calling it a facade, but it's not that kind of facade for him, for the world. But there is this confusion and almost helplessness in a way. What if this structure is no longer true? What if it crumbles? You know, he created it. He created himself, this structure. What if it crumbles? What will be left? Because what he believed, and this is important for us to understand here, what he believed on a karmic level was that that human creates himself, that I have the power, I am the master of my fate. And to a certain extent this is true, but he missed here something. He missed a step, and that's what took him in a very narrow direction, where he hit wall after wall after wall, and the harder he became, the harder he crashed into these walls until the system, so this creation, what he it became damaged. And there is this living part of him, because you know, these walls, they are so rigid, they are no longer living, they are more like programmed. They are the program, which is like a Terminator going ahead. But the really living, feeling side of him is within. That is that part of him which separated, which broke off the whole, which he used to be a whole, but it broke off. And this is the part which questions, hey, why, what? It's a bit helpless, it's also a bit tired, it is also a bit humble, it's also confused. How? Why did it happen? Why didn't it work out? Because he did everything. He gave his 150 or 1000%, whatever he had, he gave. And according to his belief system, it should have worked. But it didn't. He faltered. And that part, that living, aching, hurting part of him is asking, but it's very deep. I don't know if he dares to speak with it. This is asking him, why? What did I miss? How is it that it didn't work? If I gave all, how is it that I couldn't make it? So this is that painful, hot, but living part of him. It's small, actually. I mean, the energy is small in comparison to this structure that he built from himself. And this part is it really doesn't know what next. Doesn't know how, what did he miss? And I'm interested, actually. I want to know what happened. What is it that he missed here? What was the karmic lesson from this life? Yeah, so okay. It feels like he has lost. Yes, again, he repeated the same mistake he did in his previous life. He made in his previous life, so he did the same thing. But on the surface, this looked different, right? Here, a religious soul, and here the soul who takes things into his own hands, who throws a challenge to God. I mean, the classic religious kind of God, and I am my own creator. Here I am your servant, and I'm creating the world of God, or I'm just simplifying things. And here I am my own master. I am showing humanity that we are our own masters, and everything is possible if we want it. Now the idea is not that bad, but he has repeated the same mistake. So the two actually are the same. In both cases, he created this whole set of ideas. And what he did, giving his best, was perfect. What he did, the way the mindset that he would give his best, and with humbleness and self-discipline and control of his energy, that was really a masterpiece. But he lost contact with the divine part of himself. He's doing this on the level of his ego. I'm not saying that he's being egoistic, but he's using his ego, the lower, how should I describe this? The lower part of himself, or the lower energy frequency of himself. So this, the human ego part of himself, and he lost the true and humble connection with his divine self. Yes. And why did he lose this? It's interesting. I don't quite understand why he lost that, because he was such a religious person. It would have, in the previous life, and it would have been a logical consequence that he would be very open to this communication. Yeah, so he that's interesting. He tries to overcome his ego, but he's doing that with his ego. So he tries to become this superhuman, this higher version of himself. Like, as I said, he's the architect, the sculptor, but he is using the wrong material. He is using this human energy, the ego energy, and he is making these structures which only separate him from his true divine self, and this communication with the divine part of himself is very hard. It's very hard, and he would like to give in. Actually, the women in his life, especially I feel Nicole Kidman, they resonated that divine soft energy within him, that I'm not saying unstructured, but that's a different quality of energy, that's more subtle type of energy, and it resonated with him, but he didn't give into that because he couldn't trust it. He needed control. He wanted to control his own energies, and that's a kind of energy that he can't control, or he feels he can't control. There is that kind of energy he needs to surrender to, and that's where his issues are. That's it. Oh God, it's so beautiful. That's it. Surrendering. That is his key to the lock that he couldn't open for for at least 2 incarnations, from what I sense. And I'm not saying now that I'm solving everything. Of course not. It's ridiculous. You can't just solve so easily issues of lifetimes. But this is now it fell into place. Surrendering. He was fighting for God, but he never surrendered to this divine energy. He needed control. He needed this force, this, self-discipline. He did everything, but from this masculine, from this active point of view. And what he's here to learn is surrendering. And that's why he is a tragic hero, because his way of trying to solve this old problem, or old, it's not a problem, it's a lesson. His way of trying to solve this is by applying more force, more self-discipline, more sacrifice, because he is a person who is ready to sacrifice a lot, and he does that. He pays with pain, he pays with a lot of things. But one thing that is very hard for him to do is to surrender to this divine energy. And in these lifetimes, his mistake was always the same, creating a very rigid energetic structure. And the more rigid something is, the more power you apply, the more you strengthen it and work on it, and it becomes like steel. Okay, but if it's going into the wrong direction, it's going to crash. And the stronger you crash, the stronger the structure is, the stronger it will crash, and the more painful it is. So for him, the cure would be surrendering to these divine energies, not trying to possess them, not trying to control them, not trying to master them, but sometimes, because there needs to be a balance, he needs to surrender. So this is the yin and yang. He is a master, a super ninja on one part. He's a super ninja when it comes to sacrifice and self-discipline and power and focus and all this kind of male energy. But he is helpless when it comes to surrendering and just accepting and going with the flow and letting go. When he masters both sides, then he will become the true superhuman. So I hope you found this interesting session exciting, because for me it was absolutely mind-blowing. I didn't know what an exciting and unique person he is. I didn't know. When you start to tune yourself into the energy of these people, into the different levels of energy, you start to see those beautiful treasures that people have within them. And these different layers of consciousness often doesn't even know about each other, because the difference in the frequency. and there can be conflicts between the different layers. And here on the conscious or very rational level of the mind, you can even just deny the true feelings that you have, or the true energies that are yours. So it can be separated, and that's when one doesn't feel a whole, and that's when different things happen. So it makes a lot of sense now, and Scientology is really just something that pulled him in for a reason. He's not a victim in this way. He just resonated with those ideas very much. It resonated with him. It was saying, it was confirming what he believed in. It was confirming his part of the story. And it was also helping him feel more accepted and understood, and in his own environment to a certain degree. And women, he tried to pull women onto the other side. Although what these relationships were supposed to do was to make him softer and more surrendering, pulling him out of this kind of energy. That's the dynamics between the two, and that's why women were after some time resisting that direction. They were given these ladies. I'm feeling Nicole Kidman here. They possessed that kind of energy, and he felt that was pulling him away from there. It was supposed to happen that way, and maybe it's not a coincidence that he has a girl, a daughter, and I don't know how his life will go on, but maybe, or I hope so, that his daughter can bring in that energy that would help him to just let go and surrender. And that's where trust issues come in. It's very hard to surrender to life. It's very hard because we want to be in control. We try to feel in control. We feel weak, we feel vulnerable, and yeah, we feel helpless if we can't connect with these energies, these divine energies, and allow them to carry us and surrender to them. So I might have missed some points, I don't know, of course. So if you have any comments, suggestions, or you have your own insights, you sensed some energies, just share with me. I'm very curious to find out. So see you later. Bye bye.